There it goes.
I think we are live. Pretty sure. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Roll the Bones. I am one of your hosts, Trev. We're having some technical difficulties. There we go. There's Chris. And he's frozen again.
All right.
You back, Chris? He looks like a madman.
He's surprised.
Yeah, he looks like a madman.
Anyway,
Anyway, so
see me because I like my internet crap.
it's crashing again. All right, so tonight we are going to be talking about the 2017 Las Vegas shooting. I believe the biggest loss of American life in a mass shooting that has happened in all of the U.S. We've got some crazy things to show you. I was talking to Chris the other day, and we already called out Mossad with the Charlie Kirk thing, and there were some things that I was like, man, this shit seems too familiar. And I think that there's some puzzles that need put together tonight, so that's why we're here. We have a map of all the shootings, all the phone calls, all the personal videos. We've got 911 calls, body cams, anything you could think of. And also we're going to react to a couple videos. So that is the itinerary for tonight. Chris, I'm glad you're back.
Yeah, I've survived. So, welcome everybody to another Roll the Bones Live as we get screwed over by operators and sleazy government agents. But I am joined once again. I think Trev already did a good job taking us through, but my brother in arms always, Governor Trev, and from the Wood Chipper tribe, but he's over here with the Bones. We're kicking some ass, and Cody Bowden. We've kicked plenty of ass on the lives. We took off our first one with that one about Charlie Kirk. Did you cover that? That part, but I just want to give a special thanks to all the moderators that showed up for us. And to Amy, Red, Cass. I see some people in the chat will say what's up before we get started in this. I see Loomis into the void. It's good to have you here, brother. Mind Over Madness, Keith Shibley, decorated police officer. Him and Loomis got a good show. Decorated police officer who was first on scene for the DC Naval Yard shooting. Good to have you here, brother, and thank you for your support, and we're honored to have you here. So I'm going to hand this over to you. I know this is what you wanted to talk about, Trev, for a little bit. So,
I mean, I kind of already jumped into things while you were having your technical difficulties. I think that, like I said, we already kind of said fuck it and called out Mossad on Charlie Kirk's assassination. And
how far in did we get when we called them out?
Yeah, I mean, I was telling the chat that you and I were talking the other day, and I said, man, this feels awfully fucking familiar. Feels like October 1st of 2017, biggest mass shooting in the U.S. And there's a lot of similarities. We've got a lot of good things to show you guys, hopefully tonight, put some puzzle pieces together and try to figure this shit out. Because to me, the logic's there, the puzzle pieces are there, but it is always for you to put it together and believe what you want to believe. So we're just here to show you what we found. With that, Chris,
right.
if you...
I'm going to bring up the first...
Yep.
I'm going to bring up the first video you had brought, so...
Do you think there's a connection there?
We'll start.
I don't know because it's super weird, but
I don't know anything about the Vegas shooting.
Man, it's such a wild rabbit hole. Let's do it for just a second.
Let's
here.
do it.
Get this whole thing canceled.
Yeah, perfect.
Anyone that doesn't know about it, you should Google Las Vegas shooting map. And there's a Google Maps file that someone has compiled on the internet.
Steve, so you can find it.
I think it's called VegasShootingMap.com.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to find on Google. It's easier on some of the other search engines like Brave. It's like the third or fourth hit. But it's a compilation on Google Maps that they've made their own file where it's got sources, like the primary sources, linked to the map of all the videos that were taken, of autopsy reports, of all the 911 calls in audio format. No, not that. Just Google search for it. You'll know it's like a Google My Maps file. If you look for Las Vegas shooting map, you might have to go to a different search engine too, like
what's the other one?
DuckDuckGo, for example.
Go to DuckDuckGo.
But anyways, it's got all this primary source information on it. And it's a great resource for people that don't know anything about the Vegas shooting, because there's way too much for us to cover here.
Mm-hmm.
But the building, the structure, this is it. Yeah. So all of these weird dots here, these are all pieces of evidence. They're actual videos. They're police body cams. They are.
Was it Dan Bilzerian there?
Like Dan Bilzerian was there. I talked to him about it, and he's got he actually kind of like redirected me on a different angle that I hadn't really considered, because there's all these helicopters that are flying around that are not officially there, that don't exist. But the building, the structure on top of the Mandalay Bay Hotel that is not in any of the videos, because it's kind of like retracted back from the top. It's actually a different hotel structure that is owned by the Saudi royalty. It's a famous hotel chain. I forget which one it is, but they are the majority owners of that company.
A structure on top?
Yeah, so it's just like a penthouse like structure, suites, like
okay.
So it's like Mandalay Bay Hotel is this building,
yeah.
But then on top there's like another structure up there that is sort of like, 1 or 2 or 3 floors or something. Weird. Of these like penthouse suites that are owned by a different hotel company, and they're owned by Saudi royalty as like their majority owners. And so a lot of people went down this angle of like Mohammed bin Salman was allegedly there. People say they have video of it, and I don't know for sure, but he was apparently in the hotels gambling or something. So there's this whole angle that is hard to say one way or the other. But after,
dude, this is fucking crazy already.
Told you. Here we go.
Like, so this fucking map, bro, is so what have you found since you started fucking with this map, bro? Like yourself personally?
Dude, crazy shit. Like, you're talking half mile down the strip inside of a hotel. There's no way. I mean, yeah, gunshots are loud. I have bad hearing, but you're not hearing gunshots from the strip while there's a concert going on a quarter mile down the strip, half mile down the strip inside of another hotel. You're not fucking hearing it. And yet we've got phone calls on this map coming from every direction inside of buildings. It's not possible. That's one of the big ones for me. Another big one is that we'll get into between this video and the second video, split a little bit, is the helicopters. Like, there's some funky shit going on, man, and it just smells like a fucking op. It smells like and that's one of the reasons why Cody's here tonight, is to shed light on some of these things, military operations that do happen. But it's just absolute madness. There is autopsy reports of people getting shot straight, like vertically in the head. How can somebody who is on the top of a building shooting this way into a crowd going to hit multiple people in the top of the head? It's not possible. People are finding automatic weapons laying on the ground and turning them into police officers. Just nonsense, dude. Nonsense.
Did they? What was the fuck? What bullet caliber were they?
Everything. So there was, if I remember correctly, they found 7.62 by 39. They found 223, 5.56, and that's some of the things that didn't add up in some of the autopsies. Yeah, dude had a boatload of guns in that hotel room, and they were saying he was just going from one gun to another gun to another gun, just volleys of fire. They also said he was using a bump stock. Anybody at all who's ever used a bump stock knows they're not an FRT. It's not a machine gun. You are not reliably getting through a magazine at all with a bump stock without a jam, without there being some sort of break in that line, because it all has to do with the pressure you're putting forward while holding that pistol grip of that rifle. So it's running off of the recoil and continuing to bump into your trigger. So you're not getting consistent bursts of fire like you will hear in some of these videos. It's impossible. And that is why the government made bump stocks illegal, was because of this situation. For over a decade, they're legal again. You can go buy them, which is interesting that 10 years later, 8 years later, they're like, well, shit, let's just make these legal to the public again. If it was all bump stocks, they would still be illegal.
All right, let's take a quick look. Cody, what's your opinion? Like, I mean, you've delved a lot in long range. I mean, you're a sniper, for Christ's sake, but what's your take, like, when you think, was this just like a coordinated, did he pick his targets, or were these just random firing into the crowd?
That's the biggest question, right? Of the 60 people. So not to get off of your question, but to stay on it. Like, my biggest question is, who were those 60 people? You know what I mean? Because there's one we have to figure out, either made it away or one that they got, right?
Right.
Or a group. I mean, it could have been 5, 6, people. But at the same time, like, unfortunately, there are plenty of people in this world that have gotten a and or higher and or more, and they left the military and they started getting paid way different amounts of money to do a lot more immoral things in life, and or maybe they were coerced and blackmailed into what they had to do to keep themselves safe or their family. Who knows what the situation is, but it was not one 64-year-old man inside of a room.
Absolutely not.
I mean, it's just that 60 people. I don't remember, something that was before we were doing this. I randomly was talking to my mom, and I was like, I just brought it up because, she's obviously older than me and old enough to know what's going on. So, I was just curious how much she remembered. But the funny thing is after it happened, the largest mass shooting went away. It just, nobody cared. Nobody talks about it. Nobody wants to bring it up. Nobody wants to get back into the details like this. That why were there unidentified helicopters in the area? Where did they come from? Where did they go? Here's the thing. I would be curious to find out if black boxes, if the crash boxes inside of these choppers, I know you can turn off the homing beacons, right? So that you're not putting off a passive or a regular radar. However, that box is always on and still tracking the data of that plane, that bird, right? So what did they do with these helicopters? Did they ever get sold, or were they just lost? And, I kind of wonder if somebody's like flying around in one right now and don't even know that they bought they bought basically a hot helicopter used to murder 60 people. And if they plugged that box in and downloaded all the information out of it, like if it was to crash tomorrow and, say just cruising across the desert and the helicopter went down, they went and got the flight data box, would they find back in October this aircraft was turned off and it was flying around this area, or not? That's something I thought about today. Two things that came to my mind was there was no coverage after it happened, and then the tracking of the helicopters. But the coordinated attack that it was not one 64-year-old man with no motive.
No. So, and that brings me to like this video that we're currently watching in particular. If we go a couple more minutes into it, there's a couple very good potential points. It hasn't been proven. We know a certain family owes this. Or I don't know where this. Whose audio's on? Is it mine? Oh shit! Hold on. Certainly. All right. That just fucked me up. So we know a certain family has ownership of this particular. I think it's a villa on top of this hotel, and allegedly somebody of power was there that night. It makes me personally think, with no military background whatsoever, just logically, okay, if you're going to use these birds to get up to a certain floor to try to gun down somebody, the perfect distraction would be, oh, look, there's a concert happening on the strip right here. Let's just go dump a bunch of rounds here while we've got another bird fucking shit up over here. And that would, in theory, explain why there are multiple, this map is so large. It's not just like one little area. It is in the chat if anybody wants to pull it up and look for themselves. It's a fucking rabbit hole, so be prepared. But it is absolutely insane. That's what I think when I see this. I think that it's almost a distraction. I think that there was something else happening at the same time. Chris will be right back, and when he is back, I'm going to have him pull up the video to finish this first video that kind of explains what I'm getting at here. But the familiarity of it is what made me, I had two conversations a couple days in a row. One was with you, one was with Chris, and it just felt too, the shit with Charlie Kirk, his assassination, felt almost familiar.
Right.
The way it was done. And for some reason, out of all the crazy shit, school shootings, Donald Trump getting shot at, everything that's happened recently, my mind didn't go to any of it. My mind went to 2017, October 1st, when this mass shooting happened. I think that there is massive powers at play that has to do with all of these things. I think that, obviously our government is ran by a shadow government or some sort of hierarchy that we do not have. The general public has no idea about. And I don't know why, but like I said, I had just a gut feeling that these two things were connected. And sure as shit, when I started going back down this rabbit hole, the same characters are popping up. We're talking, Mossad, we're talking heads of Saudi families that, I think Chris is back, so hopefully we can hit this video.
After the Vegas shooting happened, like 1 month later is when Mohammed bin Salman went on the Saudi purge, where he arrested like all of these Saudi royalty that he said were corrupt. Yeah. He purged corruption out of the Saudi government. Right. And right before it had been when he had been given the crown, so to speak, over his brother, or not his brother, like one of the other princes, I forget his name, the evil one. It's like aligned with all the people. And Khashoggi is obviously aligned with Epstein, because Epstein, a lot of people don't know that Epstein's like early days when he went from banking at Bear Stearns, but before he became a trafficker, those like in the 80s, those middle days, he was arms trafficking with Anand Khashoggi. Right. Anand Khashoggi was like the person that brought Epstein from being just a banker into the Mossad intelligence aspects. Right. And so Jamal Khashoggi is probably linked in some ways to that. And he used to work for Saudi intelligence. Like, he's not just a journalist. Right. And so then 1 year later to the day, he winds up all chopped up. So there's just all these little things that sort of imply the Saudis are involved, not to mention like the crazy fucking firepower that was leveled on civilians and not on civilians. I don't know. Dan had a really great theory that sort of like a lot of the conspiracy theorists theorize that these helicopters are out there having like, they're shooting at the civilians and they're shooting at the structure on top, the penthouse or something. And maybe there is like in some of those autopsy reports that people eventually got access to, there are people that were shot directly down through the top of their head.
Really?
Yeah.
So there were helicopters or there were not?
Oh, there were 100% helicopters. Yeah. And people found them on the, like the flight trackers. You can see their transponders, and the helicopters before the shooting even starts, three of them fly over top of the Mandalay Bay Hotel. They turn off their transponders 15 minutes before the shooting starts. And then their transponders are off until after the shooting is all over, and they turn them back on and like fly away. And then there's like all these weird and not to mention that the shooting itself, everyone with any military training, Dan included, all say that is a belt-fed machine gun. That is 100% not a bump stock M4.
What?
Yeah, that is 100% not what they say it is, because bump stocks are also famous for malfunctioning. Like a bump stock is like it uses the recoil of the gun to rechamber the round, and you can just look them up on YouTube. People like they're kind of like a gimmick, like and so they will they'll kind of shoot like automatic fire, but inevitably it will jam, especially if you're going to like fire full auto at that kind of rate over and over and over and over.
They said so. The conventional theory on this is official story is one guy.
It's a single shooter that had this whole room just loaded up with guns.
Yep.
And he smashed out the window with this special hammer, and he just unloaded with these like, conventional assault rifles with bump stocks all the way across into this parking lot, which is like a long shot. A bunch of headshots happened.
Where we're looking at this, where's the Mandalay Bay Hotel?
Mandalay Bay is down left. It's where all the yellow dots are down left of the parking lot.
Right there. Steve.
Yeah, right there. That's the Mandalay Bay Hotel.
Oh, okay.
He's on like the 34th floor or something like that. I forget the exact floor. And he's shooting across and diagonal over that parking lot, which is where the festival was.
Got it.
That's the official story. He never left the room. He shot 12 volleys and maybe some like bolt action rifle and stuff. And then he committed suicide alone in the room with no one there. An hour before the police even got to his door, with a fucking arsenal of ammunition and weapons all around him still ready to go. He just was like, I'm bored and I'm tired and I'm out. And he shot himself, allegedly.
Was there any evidence that anyone was in there with him?
Yes, lots. There was so in the hotel records, there was 3 women, I think 2, actually like staying with him in that hotel room on the hotel records. So there's all these inconsistencies. That doesn't make any fucking sense. But and like they have the photo of him dead, like the crime scene photo, and it's pretty visually obvious that what you are looking at is a dude with a fresh blood, like bullet hole in his head with fresh blood pooling on top of a dried blood stain. It's like clearly 2 different colors of blood happening here.
Oh shit. Right in the forehead?
You don't really see the bullet hole,
right.
but there's also a lot of evidence that the windows were not actually smashed out. Like the photos of the crime scene that show the hammer and the smashed glass that are like, look, he busted the window with his hammer. Yeah. They don't really look like what's on the police body cams that got leaked or released of the cop that entered the room with all the cops. So there's all these inconsistencies. But then all around Las Vegas, there's all these 911 calls of people that are saying that they either are seeing people running with guns through these hotels, or they're hearing shots in hotels that are like 3 blocks up the strip, like at the Tropicana. The Bellagio has like 10 different calls in it of people saying that they heard a shot inside the Bellagio, and that there's like people freaking out. There are people that work at the hotels. There's cops that got handed like an automatic pistol was found on the ground, and a civilian picked it up and was like, this doesn't belong here, and handed it to a police officer like, hey, I found this. There's like all these fucking weird anomalies all over Vegas, like super far away from Mandalay Bay. And it's not necessarily like, some of that might be people that are just freaking out. Some of it might be people that are hearing echoes.
Right.
But a lot of those 911 calls happened like long after the Mandalay Bay shooter had stopped shooting. And they're reporting.
Look, like, all right. So like what he's saying about the 911 calls, there were if you take this map, Amy or Kayla, if you could share that map again for people to check it themselves. Now, if you zoom this thing way, way out, there are 911 calls about a shooting at an event. I'm talking on the outskirts of the city, because this thing, you can zoom this, like this covers the residential areas. If you keep going, like this covers all of Las Vegas. So there are reports about shootings at an event, hours before this happened. You know, maybe in some of them half an hour before it happened. Get the fuck out of here, bro, with trying to tell me that this wasn't some false flag. You know, I think at that time that was the first domino to fall, because if I remember correctly, I can't remember, was it during Obama's, I think it was Obama's, the end of his second term is when the Paris bombings happened.
I believe you're correct on that.
So, all right, so that was the first to go. And I mean, think about it this way. I mean, we can go, I don't want us to evolve into a 9/11 thing. You know, I've talked about this with you plenty of times, and Brother Ant, we're going to have a big fucking thing. We'll all sit down and talk about that shit. But look about, like, all right, so George Bush walks in and boom, he's got his catastrophe on his hands. You know, Donald Trump, he's a couple minutes, you know, maybe a few months into his first term, and now you have a mad dog for, like, you know, killer. It just doesn't make any sense, bro. Like, I think it's just used, these false flag moments are used to control the government, because what happened after that, there was tons of anti-gun legislation that was proposed. It started a whole thing. You know, that's always a narrative, bro.
Oh yeah, exactly, man. And it feels awfully, and the only thing that throws me off of the whole like I said multiple times just on this stream, like I said multiple times to you and to Cody, the one thing that's not familiar about this is, so far, you know, Charlie Kirk was not shot with an AR-15, you know, an assault weapon, whatever the fuck. But it seems like every couple years, or every couple, you know, every other presidential term, there is an event that something happens and it turns into the government or the shadow government that controls our government having more juice to pull away our freedoms and our rights as Americans. And it's obvious from October 1st of 2017 that they don't give a fuck if they're killing 50 people, 60 people. They don't give a fuck if they're knocking out somebody as influential as Charlie Kirk. They're doing whatever they got to do to fit their agenda. And
well, let me ask you this. Like, from what you've dived into so far, what have you seen what similarities have you seen between the Vegas shooting and Charlie Kirk?
So I think that I don't like giving or repeating names of diabolical people who do these acts, but the shooter in this case that we're looking at right now, obviously is a patsy, dude. Like, and if we look at the person who allegedly pulled the trigger on Charlie Kirk, I don't believe for a minute that he did anything. I believe that dude was probably hurting for some money or had some sort of situation where they said, hey, look, go up on this roof, take some photos, go up here and do whatever. Here's $1,000. Here, you got to do this. Supposedly he was involved with like the junior CIA, which is the CAI, I believe. And where they get like their recruits from, straight out of the first semester of college for him, and was turned. And how are you going to tell me a dude with a fucking lazy eye took a shot like they're trying to say he did and killed Charlie Kirk? So I think dude's a patsy. I think this dude in this case in Vegas is a patsy. I believe that there's one central shadow government or an elite person or persons who control the narrative for whatever the fuck they need to do. And the similarity of the patsy situation, the similarity of, you know, supposed Discord messages from Charlie Kirk or not from Charlie Kirk, but from that situation 24 hours before, you know, somebody posting like, hey, look, Charlie Kirk's going to die tomorrow, whatever the fuck was said. I can't remember. I'm not going to be able to quote it, but there was somebody that said a threat of some sort 24 hours before. You know, you've got a similar thing where, you know, just before this shooting even takes place, people are calling saying it's taking place. I think that the plane that left, I don't think it's Utah International. Can't remember the name of the airport, but just right down the road, just 10 minutes or so down the road from the campus that Charlie was killed on, just a plane with no tracker takes off and just dips out. Here we've got helicopters. It all seems very very relatable, as in it's almost like a secondary movie or a secondary play or a third, you know, who knows how many we're on at this point that we don't know about. But it's like, at this point, I think you have to be fucking blind or politically retarded or have no common sense to think that all of this shit happens just because people are psychopaths. Because there's one narrative that somebody has in their head and they do this and it affects the fucking world. Like, sure, you may have some dude whacked out on fucking drugs go shoot up a supermarket because he just got fired there. I don't think the CIA or Mossad or whoever was in that dude's head doing this shit. But I think in these things that shake the United States or shake the world,
right,
I think they're all connectable. I think if someone were to look and had access to not even all the information, but just enough, I think that there's just enough information here to connect the two. And I think a big hitter on that is the plane and then the helicopters. I think having a patsy, having a fall guy, you know, I think the guns that they were not able to fucking match one round out of a deceased person from October 1st, 2017, Las Vegas, to one fucking gun in that man's hotel room.
Hold on, this is an interesting here. Keith Shibley, I did hear recently that the Secret Service believes their encrypted communications have been compromised.
Who's to say that it's recent? Who's to say that their whole intelligence, you know, the way that they communicate isn't fucking been tapped since day one? You know?
Yeah, because you know what, man? Like the infiltration of these governments, and then like this is why it's important that there's so many missing pieces, because we have cops that are out there, they're on the scene. They don't realize that there's something. Not every mass shooting is, you know, there are just straight up fucking crazies that just get out there and they want to take life. However, now like Keith, you know, he was first on scene for the DC Naval Yard shooting. Now I know about that situation. I'm not super dialed in on the extent of it. I mean, I could be wrong. I think it was like 10, maybe 12 victims. But so you have cops like Keith, they're out there doing their job. Now, this could be like what, Vegas or Charlie Kirk or whatever. How dangerous is that for law enforcement to be going in on a scene and then possibly going up against highly trained government level assassins?
Right.
You know, people that are paid, like they are specialized to smoke motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying?
That's their job. That's what they do for a fucking living. They're so good at it that, you know, they excel through the military, and somebody's like, hey, do you want to make a boatload of money? Like, it's not your average fucking soldier. You know what I mean? Like, not only that, but like, I would have to imagine, like, I have a pretty good hope for humanity, generally speaking. even though I think we're all fucked regardless. But like, there's got to be a certain type of motherfucker, and I've had to do this myself in certain situations I've lived in my life, like, you know, prison and just all the bullshit, where you turn off and you do whatever violence you have to fucking do. And that's just what it is. And these soldiers, these assassins who are doing shit like this, like, have to live their life. You gotta, if you're doing shit like that consistently, who knows what they're doing overseas 24 hours a day? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they could be doing hits. If the military's doing hits on targeted operations every night in a war, who's to say that they're not doing shit anywhere in the world right now? They could be doing a hit. And it's, you know, not everyone's going to be a public execution or a mass shooting. Like, some dude probably died tonight, or some female probably died tonight, that has an impact on something that the government needs an impact on, and it probably will never be spoken about, and it probably wasn't from natural causes, and it might not even be in the US, you know?
Well, you know what? All right, to my buddy Lewis's point over here, like, he raised, this is a very good thing too, and this is a level of it. It says most people care about the drama, the news. That's why Taylor Swift getting engaged is going down in history as a big moment. Like, now, all that is a psyop. That's that's like a almost like the apex predator of distractions,
Right?
Because people in this world nowadays, they can't handle discomfort, they can't handle pain, so they attach on, glob on to individuals as a support system, like they know them. Taylor Swift don't give a fuck about you. Let's make that clear. But, like, to be honest, Taylor Swift getting engaged means shit to me.
Right.
You know, I would, you know, what's more important to me are knowing the names of some of these people that were taken out by fucking monsters. Right. Instead, they want to force feed us some horse shit like that. Like, I don't give a fuck, bro, that Whoopi Goldberg's eating Activia in the morning, bro. I don't give a fuck. Right. Like, that to me, I mean, it ain't gonna solve shit. Like, right. She's still a crazy bitch, bro. Like, so why are we wasting our time? They just people have to stop. They have to break the cycle of being so fucking weak-minded. Like, it take the shackles that is social media off in all this fluff piece of shit, because the news is over, bro. News, yeah, like, you want to find news, you got to go into circles like this. You got to go, you know, like, social media influencers it's a double-edged sword, but there's more fact out there through this type of platform than there is through bought and paid for bullshit through Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, all that other horse shit. Because it's no longer news, it's just bullshit opinion pieces, and that's all it is. So there is so much information, and I'm kind of a little bit overwhelmed just because you like that map, bro. Like,
bro, it's a fucking rabbit hole.
Everybody in this chat, bro, that you know, or continues or watches the playback or whatever, I'm telling you, mess with this map for a while. You know, you're gonna learn some weird shit. Just watch it before they remove it. Me and Trev, this one of the videos. Actually, it's a video that we finally got to play. We fought for it for about an hour.
And it was back and forth madness, dude. Like, I watched it earlier today, taking some notes, and it was fine. Sent the link over to Chris, because I tried to pull it up on my computer, and it wasn't having it. Sent it to Chris. It wasn't doing it for him. I got on my phone. It wasn't doing it. And then out of nowhere, the beginning repeated itself, 8-12 times. And then just like, man, there's some funky shit going on. I don't know. I think we struck a nerve somewhere in one of our lives recently. And
like it was the not the phone
call shit, like, bro.
Yeah, not the no more silence.
Right.
When it was the follow-up one we did after that, me and Trev were on the phone. Now,
this shit's crazy.
And even, dude, I was telling this to Ant, bro. And he was like, oh, that's a normal thing, like whatever. And he played it, but it was the woman's voice. It's the same thing. Like I've had it when we've had to put in that work for Jason and we're doing certain meetings. Michelle has done it to record meetings. Amy's done it to record meetings. And it's the woman's voice. When me and Trevor on this phone, not even half an hour after the live was done,
half hour,
you hear a man's voice. This phone call is being monitored and recorded.
And it didn't sound like
normal
a recording at all. It sounded like somebody clicking on the line. And I asked Chris, I said, bro, did you just start recording this call? And he was like, I was about to ask you the same thing. And like, we got so freaked out, we hung up the fucking phone, dude. Like, you know what I mean? We got to go. I got to go. Click.
My phone don't got that feature, bro. I was just like, and so you already know what time of day it was.
Yeah.
You know,
people can call us crazy, but that shit was real as fuck.
Listen, I almost spent the week walked around looking like a tinfoil mummy, bro. Like, you know, that was so freaky though, because I mean, like you said, we were like, whoa, and then we just fucking hung up, and I called you from the other phone.
Yeah, let's just call it.
Because definitely, I mean, what happens is, you know, you interview a couple mob guys, you interview a couple guys who got burned by the ATF or other, you know, start calling out Mossad for their bullshit. I'm on at least, I have to be on at least a dozen federal watch lists at this point.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, you know, lasso in a savage ass co-host, and it's a recipe for me and you, like, just for clarification, neither of us are planning on unaliving ourselves.
Never would I Epstein myself. Never.
Yep.
That shit's crazy, dude. I think, like I said, I think we struck a nerve. And just going back a little bit, Mind Over Madness said distraction. You're right, dude. And the fucking thing is yeah, these are all distractions of something. These circumstances or something else is going on that they don't want us to know, right? But the really fucked up part of all of this is, you want to know what the distraction is? The distractions is this fucking screen. This fucking screen. It is, we now have a 24-hour, 7 days a week distraction put into our pockets, put into the hands of our children, where they can feed us whatever information they want. They can distract us. They can do whatever the fuck they want.
This is the ultimate prison.
Yes.
It is psychological control. It is the equivalent of having like an ankle monitor that you willingly pay for you pay for yourself, $1,000 out of pocket, show up for that EM number 7 or whatever the fucking number they are now. Yeah. The new model shackle.
Right.
It's like, I told you before, bro. Like, I was sitting there talking to my wife about, I was setting up a thing. I was going out with Anthony Arlotta, and somehow, bro, just through conversations with my wife, so Google listens, this thing comes up in the shopping section that I'd be interested in gangster pinstripe lingerie. Like, but see, the thing is they listen in on all your shit. And not even just they listen in, you willingly give them that power.
Oh yeah, you pay for it. You invite it into your household. You know what I mean? It's crazy. I mean, I know we got a little bit sidetracked. There is a couple things that I just wanted to throw out there before we get to the second video. I don't know. Did you get that pulled up? Because we don't have to watch the whole thing. It's just a clip. But before we watch that, I have a couple notes. Excuse me. All right. So he had conjoining rooms. I believe they were suites. I'm not sure. Room 134 and 135. So they were suites. So these doors, even if it wasn't, you've got a conjoining wall, right, that you can go in between two. So that means those doors are going to be farther apart than rooms that have a non-shareable wall. These doors are going to be farther apart. So 130, room 134 and 135. So there's all of these digital key card doors that we've had for, well over a decade now to get into hotels. It's all digital data that's stored, right? One of the things that I just feel some type of way about, man, is so the digital data showed that at the same exact time, somebody tried to open both of those doors. This was before the shooting. At the same time. Okay, so your dude doesn't have the fucking arm span to do this and do it at the same time. It did not work. Okay, so then it shows that it was opened from the inside. So that means the door was opened without the key. That's how they know, but it still tracks, okay, this door has been opened at this time. So the door was opened from the inside. All right. They called, there was a service put in to get something with the doors fixed, right? In my opinion, it was probably to change the cards or do something to where it was harder for law enforcement to ultimately get into those two rooms or one of the two rooms, make entry regardless. But here's the thing. There is no fucking, Vegas is covered in cameras, right? Everywhere is covered in cameras, but Vegas is covered in cameras. There is not any footage that anybody has been able to find, almost like it's wiped off the face of this earth, of when that call was put in to fix these doors, right? So that's something that really makes me feel some type of way. You know what I mean? There's no footage of these doors being worked on. They can't, as far as I know, especially in 2017, they're not able to do it remotely. You got to go to the desk, get a new, you know what I mean? Whatever. There's also other things that just don't make sense. Particularly, I mean, I guess the rational non-tinfoiled hat person would be like, oh, well, I would eat 2 cheeseburgers. For instance, room service tickets from that day shows that there were 2 entrees ordered at the same time. So he might be a fat fuck. He might want to eat 2 cheeseburgers. Right. But to somebody who's not wearing, to somebody who is wearing a tinfoil hat, logically to me, I wear tinfoil hats all the time. This one's lined. You just can't see it. There's more than one person in that room. The biggest one though that really gets me, man, is at 3:45 that afternoon, someone called the front desk and said that they had heard a single gunshot from that floor. Security, they have all casino hotels have armed security. Security was not called. The police were called. There was no report of this whatsoever. Like there was it was put on paper report, but no one went to go check on this at all. That really, bro, if anywhere, yeah, you can open carry in Las Vegas, right? They got an open carry law, but I guarantee you somebody's going to come up and be like, hey man, like what's going on? Anywhere in the US, and for the most part, especially a major metropolitan city that has mad tourists like Vegas, right? You hear a gunshot, somebody's going to go check that shit out, man. Like,
oh, for sure, bro.
You know what I mean? Like, they're not just going to, and you're high enough up to where it's not like you're staying at the fucking La Quinta, you know what I mean? Where it could be a car backfiring in the back. Even then, you're probably going to get a cop knocking on your door, like, somebody pop off a gun.
Well, I mean, bro, let's be honest. I mean, some of the stuff is like, it's really in a city setting, bro, is really difficult to determine. You know what I mean? Because you have, the Vegas Strip, despite the thousands of people going, like wandering up and down that, all the noise, you have a concert going, you have all these, there's so many micro components to it. Yet, trucks going up and down, like you said, cars backfiring, people hitting potholes or whatever. Like, there's so many mechanical sounds, period. So, it's kind of hard, you know. But
it's
that's
not overstimulating for me personally, bro.
And
like
especially half them at that hour, half them motherfuckers are hammered, bro.
Right. Well, but like I'm saying, from that floor specifically, with all the, let's call it ambient noise, because it's what's going on in the background, something you're like, damn, was that a gunshot? I do not believe that high up with all the other noise, all the other shit going on, a concert going on across the fucking way, that somebody's going to hear, for instance, a car backfire and be like, was that, you know what I mean? Was that a gunshot? Like,
right.
It just doesn't make sense. And the fact that it was not even security physically went and checked, as far as it's been recorded, doesn't, like, it seems mad fishy, man. It seems something ain't right. Correlation, excuse me, to that is, Charlie Kirk's bodyguards, like, man, sure, they jumped into action, but I seen something that, I seen it looked like they were taking something off of him. Regardless, they did. And you see one-handed dude jumps over the table, gets to the body, grabs something, hands it off. Dude sticks it in his pocket, dips. Okay, like, these security guards are on another agenda than what's going on. It's almost like, they weren't all focused directly on Charlie right when it happened. Sure, was it shock? It could have been. But it's the same thing with this. It's like, man, like, security guards have a job to do. Usually they're trained. If they're worth their salt, like Charlie should have been or were, they're trained, or ex-police officers, ex-military, whatever and whatnot. I just find it hard in either circumstance that things were taken as lightly as they were. I would have expected, and sure, this is after the fact, but when Cody and I went to our city, because he was next, Charlie, just getting off a little bit, but Charlie, his next stop on his tour was CSU here in Colorado. Me and Cody were going to go. We already had our tickets. We were stoked. This shit happened. When we had the candlelight visual for him, same day, same time, put on by Turning Point, these motherfuckers were armed. And, like, it wasn't in view, but they're wearing backpacks this way with their hand in a backpack, like, quick deploy, you know what I mean? Like, ready to quick deploy a firearm.
Right.
Obviously, his guards were armed. I would have expected in any attempted or actually done, like, actually happened, not suicide attempt, excuse me, assassination attempt, that somebody would have pulled a gun out from his team and made sure, you know what I mean, like, evaluated that the threat is not right in front of you.
Right.
I mean? Like, in that crowd of people. So it's just awfully weird how the reactions of both of these cases with a single gunshot, they're like, meh, like, sure.
And the other thing is, it's like you said, in this case, there was a lot of crisis actors that appeared during COVID reels, during the January 6th, crocodile tears that were, you've seen them in George, I believe that George Zimmerman, is that, did I say the name right? Or is that the guy from or am I putting a bad plan on that guy from Bizarre Foods?
No, I believe, are you talking about
George Zinn?
Okay, yeah.
The one that was on his knees, though, he was sitting there, like, they put the bullet on him first.
Right.
He was like, they go back, he was in a 9/11 reel.
Right.
You
want to hear something crazy? Is this dude was from this case right now that we're talking about has a tie to 9/11. And I'm not going to put it out there. You know, if anybody really wants to know, you go down this rabbit hole and go listen to this shit.
Hold on, here we go. Let's see. There was a comment. I got away from me. Well, like this right here. Loomis said the camera was right behind him. Someone on his team had packed up that camera before the cops got on scene. Now, I get, like, Vaz, I get what you're saying, bro. Like, that somebody on his team, I'll play the devil's advocate for that statement that somebody on his team took it before somebody can get it. And because there were people snatching shit up.
Well, yeah,
responsible adult,
they were grabbing something out of his fucking pocket or off his body and handed it.
Like, a responsible person in that moment, to me, would have left that fucking shit where it was, because not even thinking about, like, hey man, this could be something crazy on here. Mainly thinking I don't want to go to fucking federal prison because I took something off the because then your fingerprints on there. Now they got you from some bullshit.
Right.
I mean, I can see it from both sides. Like, if I got clipped, I would hope that, and there was other footage. I know, like, I would hope that Trev would take that footage before I started finding my way to the dark web. But so, I mean, that's a different setup. I don't know. You can't tell what you're going to do in that situation, because, I mean, but yeah, you're right, bro. You're 100% right, Loom. Like, it's tampering with evidence, know. There's a lot,
and now we'll never know if they release the footage from that back camera. We'll never know if it's been edited, if it's, you know what I mean? Like, we won't know now because it didn't go through the chain of custody that, and even if it did, who's to say that they wouldn't edit it either way? But, at least then we would have been relatively sure that it had not been, messed with at all.
Right. And I mean, I think all of these things are, I mean, I don't want to get away from the Vegas shooting.
Right.
But I mean, if you remember right, like within a month, bro, and it's the same thing. You're seeing the same thing again. It's a parallel you can draw with Charlie. People are still talking about Charlie, but the mainstream media references him now, not really talks about the case. They don't talk about the case side of it. It's been, I mean, Charlie died literally a month and 5 days ago.
Right.
And you saw, if everything felt like really rushed, there was a lot of, like, I mean, all these, there's a lot of stuff. There was like a lot of BS, sobbing from certain people. Like, I feel like the ones that are handling the business as far as Charlie goes, boots on the ground, straight up, Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, they're out there really. And Candace, I pray for this woman.
She playing with fire, bro.
And she don't care, bro. Like, I mean, that woman is straight up. Like, she is not letting off the gas. And but the thing, it's like, again, like this Vegas thing, but I mean, when you start drawing the connections to it, I mean, it's hard because I try not to live in a world full of Bond villains.
Right.
Like, I think that even those are great. They're conspiracy generators in themselves, bro. Because what happens is, if you can twist a detail just enough to make it sound plausible to be done, I mean, there's a lot of truth hidden in movies, bro. Like, sometimes I agree. My brother used to say that shit to me all the time. He's like, "Oh man, they're running them. They're telling you what they're doing just through the movies." There was one of them, like, one of the Bond movies. One of the villains wanted to start like a little extreme, but he wanted an entire global news network. He wanted to be a singular thing. What the fuck is Google? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, it's a good point.
So some of them are possible, but I try not to live in like the fact that, I don't necessarily subscribe. They're fun to talk about, but I don't subscribe that a satellite aimed with a death ray that's going to change my gender in 3 seconds is right now through this window, and it's going to come down. I don't sub to that kind of stuff.
Okay, but do you think that, especially with
wait, Cody, are you back, brother? Because I mean, your phone had cut out or went dark. We were concerned.
He said problem. I mean, he's on in the chat, but I don't know if he's back.
We'll put him in there just in case.
So
I've been sorry. I thought.
Oh shit! I thought it went dark and I didn't hear anything. Damn, you should have said something in the chat, homie. Like we're sitting there talking like a bunch of.
Oh, you're good. I thought you guys. I thought you close up a bit, brother. No, I'm just here, and I was just like, I was chiming in, but no, it said I was backstage the whole time. I'm just hanging out, man.
So I'm sorry, Cody. I would have been able to see that if this wasn't full screen.
You're good.
Yeah, my bad, bro. We just stuffed him in the closet the whole time.
Just fucking get in here for a minute.
Never coming out either.
Right?
He was under the bed the whole time.
No, hey, since I am back, so, like when we're talking about connections, like the biggest thing that connection, disconnection, right? So we have a suspect that's alive.
Right.
Because we don't have a dead body anywhere.
Right.
The only dead body is Charlie. We don't have anybody else to say, okay, well, this dude did it for sure. The Vegas shooting, you go look at the pictures, the guns, the weapons that they showed, they are some big magazines.
Fuck yeah.
And then the guns,
they're just lined up.
It's a CQB site. You mean to tell me that dude was cracking people with a 25-meter sight at 300 yards? I don't do that. You can't. The mill dot.
That reticle wouldn't. It would just blur everything out.
You'd be like, oh, let's play hide the body and then hope you hit them, but you wouldn't have any accuracy. And then the size of rounds, you're not going to shoot somebody in the,
doing headshots.
Like you're not going to hit them from the top of the head. You're not going to. So I think the hardest part, like the biggest connection is we're getting fed a bunch of bullshit where we didn't ask as many questions about Vegas because look how much farther we are advanced in 8 years, right? If somebody did this same map with Charlie and we had unadulterated images, because I mean, I just seen a clip today of the dude that's on his left all the time, that was on Charlie's left.
Right.
That was standing talking to the same dude that was videoed coming up the stairs. That dude supposedly is Israeli trained, if I remember right. Half of his team and security team is Israeli trained.
Right.
So
that was right when you came in. That was, I mean, not exactly. It just has a connection. Like I was about to ask Chris, and I want to ask you, Cody, the same thing. So the fact that the penthouse on top of this hotel, right, that is in direct correlation, well, let's maybe not say Mossad at this moment, but a Saudi family, a king, prince, whatever the fuck they are, is allegedly there that night. They own this property. These helicopters come in. There's three of them, and the size of birds they are. This would be a great time to play that other clip.
Do which one? The helicopter one?
Yeah, it starts at an hour 10 minutes from the second video I sent you. But I just want to ask you guys if you think that there is a connection there, if you think that both of these could be Mossad. Because for me, dude, or somebody who controls heavy hitters of the same nature, we could say whatever we want. I think at this point we're kind of cooked as far as we've already called out Mossad. Me and Chris is fucking phones are fucked up, our computers are fucked up. Like, I don't know what's going on at this point, but I think that, I mean, I do know what's going on, but I think that to me, there's a big correlation here. I feel, like I said, it felt very familiar. And for some reason, it wasn't any of the recent massacres, any of recent assassination attempts. My mind directly jumped to October 1st of 2017 and this shooting that we're currently talking about.
Trev, you said it started at what was it?
An hour 10.
You know, and let's be honest. It does, when it gets to these elites, genealogy and family ties, that doesn't matter. It's about the money.
Right.
White, Jewish, black, Asian, they don't care. They're all protecting each other's ass to cover up something, right? Whatever that may be. And we know we're not privileged. And if everybody thinks that they're living on these streets and there isn't some hierarchy to this world, these people think there's a hierarchy because it's hidden from us. If we knew the truth, the sheer mass amount of people could overthrow that hierarchy. You know, it's kind of like Bill Gates buying all the land. Well, just because you buy all the land doesn't mean I'm going to stay off of it. What are you going to do? You're one man with 10,000 acres. You're going to stand on all 10,000 and shoot me? Nope. I'm going to.
He's gonna hire some operators to fucking protect that shit, though.
But when they're hungry, guess who they're going to turn on? You know. So when the truth comes out, you know, and that's the thing is the money. The money is where it's all at, right? And we know Saudi oil controls a lot of this world, especially Saudis. Like who was up there? Who was just up there with Donald Trump and Hamas? The Saudis. Why? Because they got all the power. Frankly, they're the ones gangster enough to do it themselves.
All right,
I mean, you went to war for that shit, Cody. Like,
let's see what we got going on here. So, all right, I think we got it.
Bring this up too is because of all the helicopter reports that happened that night.
Mm-hmm.
And I got some video as well of people who reported helicopters and saying too that the helicopter was firing at the crowd. Okay.
That is a big one. There are 3 military style helicopters, and we'll talk about how I'll tell you what we can verify. There were 3 military style helicopters that were flying around in the area. Before the event, they turned their transponders off.
Yep.
After the event, they turned their transponders on.
Yep.
Now, I can't tell you if people were shooting from the helicopters. I can't tell you that. I think there are some videos where there are some very suspect muzzle flashes that are in between 2 very large buildings, too high to be anything else. Yep. And I'll tell you, it sure looks like that. Yep. I can also tell you that if I was going to use a helicopter for this, just like Ian Carroll said, and all credit to him, hat tip to him, it wouldn't be for attack. It would be for exfil of teams.
Yep. 3
teams, three helicopters like that, 3 60s. You know how many 60s they used to go kill Osama bin Laden? 3. Pretty big team. It's pretty big team operators you can get on 360s or 360 style aircraft. You can get a good amount of dudes. If you're light for an assault like this and all you're carrying is, weapons, ammo, and you're not like packed out for long haul, if you're just wearing your assault kit, you can get 10 to 12 in there. You can get 10 to 12 into each helicopter. That's a whole lot of fucking dudes with guns.
Yeah. Well, dude, I mean, I got the video here of somebody talking about the helicopter. So I'm just going to play it because you can hear in it the helo. So Here we go.
Near the roof of the Delano.
Right in front of me. That's a helicopter.
Obviously a helicopter.
100%. You can hear the exhaust.
Look at the flashes. Did you see the flashes there on top of the building?
And I will tell you, as a guy that's got a couple thousand hours in a helicopter, that is not a helicopter traveling.
No,
that is a helicopter hovering.
Yep.
Look at those, the muzzle flashes in between. Yep. Look at that. Right there.
Muzzle flash, bro.
That is muzzle flash from a stationary yes. Yep. That is muzzle flash from a stationary flying object or a flying object that is going very slow and trolling.
Yep.
Like I'm sorry, and again, I don't want to make assumptions, and I don't want to put it out there and speak as if I know. Like, I'm not claiming that I know it for sure, but man, I've got a pretty good history of watching helicopters fire at people from the ground. I've done that before. I've in all kinds of environments, under nods, not under nods, daylight, nighttime, different environments. I know what gunshots sound like in valleys. I know what gunshots sounds like in the flatlands. I know what gunshots sound like in hot. I know what gunshots sound like in cold. That is gunfire. That is a muzzle flash 100%. From a stationary or slow moving aerial vehicle. I don't know any other way to say it.
Yeah, no, 100%, dude. And I'm gonna go to another one here. So I just want to, like we're doing, give you guys all the evidence to say that there are multiple times that people called 911 to say that there were multiple shooters. And this is somebody calling from the Excalibur Hotel.
Excalibur is pretty close. So it's there on the south end of the strip, kind of like so Excalibur, Luxor, Mandalay Bay. It's across the street from New York. Like, this is all kind of like in the same area down there on the south end of the strip. MGM is across the street. The MGM Grand, all of this stuff is kind of the same, south end of the strip. I'm trying to think what street is it. Warm Springs, I think is the section, the intersection of Warm Springs and Vegas Boulevard, right around that area.
Yeah. So this is a call from the Excalibur to call in a shooter there. Actually,
so how many helicopters in total are they counting here? Three. Cody, how hard of it is it to shoot? Have you ever done any firing from a helicopter?
It is the most challenging shot you will ever take because it's not stationary, right? And it's hovering per rotation, so you still have that bouncing effect, it seems like. And when imagine laying down and putting that through putting it into a vacuum or a microscope and intensifying it. So I've shot multiple ways. So I've shot from laying in a helicopter and taking a prone shot from one side out the other. I've taken a suspended, which is when we harness in like this, and most likely this would be how they would have to do it.
Your camera's off, Cody, just so you know. We can't see you.
I don't know how my camera's off. I can see myself. That's weird. Now it's off. Now it's on.
Is it your rear-facing camera clipped into your thing? No. Potentially?
Let me try to come right back. How about that?
All right. That works. And then you like...
Yeah, because I want to see what he's describing. Because I know, like in Texas and shit, they've got a mass wild boar problem, right?
Right.
And you can pay to get taken up in a helicopter, and you get to hunt from a helicopter and shoot pigs, these wild boar.
Does that work?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we can see you. You're good now.
All right, so I've taken them laying prone from one side to the other, and that's not necessarily the easiest because obviously you have to be pretty level and/or they have to be elevated compared to you.
Right.
And then you can take them seated, which that's obvious. But the easiest way to actually achieve the shot is when they put you in the harness and you hang out the side, and then they have a boom
like this
that comes over the top that your gun's in. So I mean, even if you let go, it's not going to go anywhere. But it's suspended inside of a harness, essentially, basically for the weapon. Now you still are bouncing below a rotor. You're in rotor wash, and it doesn't matter. You can have eyeballs of steel. That air hitting you in the face, no matter what it makes you feel, you can feel everything. It probably took me, I don't know, it probably took me about 25 rounds to even get on paper to figure out where I was shooting at.
From what?
From the helicopter, for practicing it.
Like how far though?
So I was shooting, our first shots were at 250 yards, and then they moved them out from there. but we started at 250 yards. I mean, 250 yards, I could do that with my eyes closed, you know, with my long range. And that's my standard issue 24 M24 that I had. Knew that weapon inside and out, but it probably took, I'd say it probably took me, probably about 20 to 25 rounds to get on paper to, you know, to get used to that kind of a feeling, much less to accurately engage a 10-inch area or an 18-inch, 11 to 18-inch, depending on which profile you're looking at the human from. Average
or straight down.
Yeah, I mean straight down. That's like shooting inside of a Coke bottle.
Well, so here's the thing, though, is like there is some audio feedback on your part, but there is some autopsies that bullet, like they were struck on the top of the head, and you know, you're not shooting one individual. 60 people died here. There was how many people? Hundreds, if not 1,000 plus. I don't know the exact number of people at this event, but at that point, you're kind of shooting fish in a barrel.
Right.
Well, you know, I want to say just a couple things. I have to cut you off, but Chrissy Mendez said, you know, our break's over. She's going to catch up with us later. My brother Joe, he said they also have infrared lasers picked up in some videos. Using them makes life easier. Also, just for context, brother Joe is a marksman instructor, tactical training, firing instructor in my area. Like, been with the Bones since the fucking beginning. Love you, buddy. I got to get you a set of those guns. And what do you call it? But I mean, he deals in this market all the time. And for those, Amy, if you could, or Caleb, if you could share Tac Tribe 2.0. Brother is or your last comment. I didn't see him. Like, I mean, like I said, I don't know if you caught it, but Mossad had been messing with us all night.
Bad.
So he's in there somewhere. Amy, send me Joe's comment. But if you could, Caleb, you could share Tac Tribe for Joe. But no, like, yeah, like the infrared lasers. Did you have any of those, Cody?
Yeah, we use those, and especially when you're running like night vision, they help, right? Because it's like a green beacon running right at it, and nobody else can see it, so you don't have to worry anything of it. But Bones will pick that up. You won't see it in the video, but you'll see it on your screen, like as you're recording. Back there, not to go back, there's another connection. There was one that was seen in one of the videos of Charlie. There was somebody videoing behind him, and you could see the beam go across his phone because it was picked up by the camera. Just dot go across the screen of the phone, and it's basically me videoing my phone screen from behind. But those, I mean, and even still, I don't wonder how much true gunfire was heard. You know, like he was using semi-automatic to a bump stock. They're basically trying to give the excuse that they were firing automatic weapons. Why it sounded like this? Well, it was belt fed. So if it's belt fed, now we're into the discussion of 100, 200, 600. How many rounds did they have bandoliered up? You know, and if you're suspended using anything of a belt-fed ammunition, you're running hundreds of rounds. So is your accuracy even of importance? You know,
right. That's what I was saying. It's kind of like shooting fish in a barrel at that point. You know,
what's with everybody in the damn fish tonight? Like, you know, we got Joe, we got Trev, Cody, like everybody's shooting a fucking fish.
I said bottle.
Joe, you ever like how, because I mean you deal in marksman, you know, in target shooting all the time, teaching people how to do the proper thing. You ever shoot anything, like teach them how to do moving target? Like I said, Joe is a tactical instructor out this way. You get along great with him, Cody. He's, you know, he's been with his family since the fucking beginning. You know,
targets is just as hard. I mean, here's the thing that I learned about humans. Humans stop The first round is to make sure you're close. The second one's the one that's meant for you. If you shoot at a deer, they take off running and they never stop. They never stop. But if you have a crowd full of humans and they're running, you fire one shot at them, they want to see where it came from. And then you have roughly 3.5 seconds to re-engage before they're back out of the area of, wherever you're shooting at. It's moving targets is it's challenging, especially if you're moving. You're not stationary and you're in a hovering position, or at that point they would probably, like he used the terminology trolling. They were probably in a rotational set that at least one of those helicopters were staying up to make sure both those teams got out before that other one went in and picked somebody else up, because they'd never put them all three down at once.
He said in this case, it was thousands of people corralled in a fence with guys firing full auto from multiple directions in moving helicopters.
I think that the fact that they're in moving helicopters, regardless if they're using night vision, infrared, whatever, I almost feel like you don't even need any of that shit. With the number killed, that's a pretty low number compared to what they could have done.
Yeah, I mean, as he said, very little aiming.
You're
just Hail Mary shots, bro. Just popping them, and whatever happens, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? And especially, you got to think too, there's a lot of strange lighting, dark setting. You have, in a concert and festival venue, there's so much ambient light. This isn't like rolling through like a dark area, where, night vision is going to pick them up easier. There's going to be a lot of other micro components that are going to mess with night vision goggles.
Thermal would almost be better in this situation, probably.
What, you think thermal?
Yeah. I mean, if they were like that would make more sense than night vision.
Yeah.
Potentially. I mean,
Jules Guitar, what's going on, sis? Like, good to see you here. Like, but there is a lot of, I mean, this shit, bro, it always comes down, like, it always circles back to the people that have been messing with us. Like, there's always an agenda, bro. It's always some bullshit, and then they soft sell it, like, for a couple weeks, the crocodile tears, and then they move on to something else, pretty quickly. I mean, I don't know.
Kill 60 people. That's the trick, right? Like, so let's the story they gave us. If you took, and I want to say this carefully because of the internet nowadays, but for me to achieve something like that, not very difficult, right? But I'm trained and I've done it before. I've done it in a whole different country, and I've been there, done that. It's not something to affect me. So you take somebody as deranged as they may be or not. The first time you take a life, there is a feeling to it, and it's not just the recoil. There's a human process that goes through your mind. Yeah, I jokingly say, if you ever, yes, it's called recoil, and that is the truth. That's the only thing you truly feel. But emotion-wise, like unless you're just a psychotic human, which I have never met one of those in person, but for somebody to achieve a 60 head count from one room littered with a different variety of guns, it just doesn't make sense. And
I think it's like 30 guns.
Yeah,
is what they said he had. Yeah,
supposed to believe that. I would believe it more if you said 3 guns. It'd be more believable if you said, hey, this dude had a long rifle and two semi-automatics. That's more believable, except for we have the audio and the videos to prove differently. I mean, I went into one video where it was just people that were looking at, it was not the 32nd or 30th floor, whatever he was on. It was more like 10th. Like where they were looking, it was barely above the other low multi-story buildings right around the area. And they were pretty close. People were hiding just around the corner, taking videos of this. And when you're looking at it, you got all these different areas lighting up. Like, it's not one person, but again, what above them is who? Ultimately, up in the penthouse is a huge cause for concern. I wouldn't be anywhere near them people. Why? Because you just might end up being collateral damage at the end of the day, and they could care less.
For sure. And I think that's kind of really, I think that this mass casualty was a distraction to do something else. I haven't been able to find it.
There was machine gun fire on police body cam after all clear was given out, and Paddock was
dead. Yeah.
See, but I mean, like, even the thing that's crazy is, how did he even get? Like, I mean, did he bust that window out or no?
So here's the thing. That's something that I was looking into, and all right, so he had all these guns lined up down the window, right? Just lined up. So what they made it seem looked like happens, okay, I run out. Instead of reloading, I'm going on to the next one. Instead of reloading, I'm going on to the next one. There's not that whole, okay, I don't know if they use bulletproof glass that high up in Vegas, but I figure if you just gambled away your house, gambled away your life savings, you got a wife and kids to go home to, and you just fucked your whole life off, those fucking windows, I'm guessing, are not easy to break, or else motherfuckers would be taking the ride every week in Vegas. So, but from what I saw, there's no way, because that whole window or multiple windows would be completely decimated from him moving from one gun to the next gun to the next gun to the next gun.
Said it wasn't broken until after the SWAT team entered and walked around.
Right.
But he's like,
and they don't open either. Like, it's not like
they either like drop a little bit or fold out. Yeah, right. I mean, that's it's like he's saying right here. It's hurricane glass. He believes the SWAT team charged on it after fact. The police body cam shows no window broken, which that I feel like I had seen. I haven't. Right. A lot of this information is kind of swept away at this particular point.
Well, it's so much too.
Well, and that's the problem is, like, I'm realizing further into this project that, you tap one, one spot, you think you're on the right point, and it just fucking unravels. And then you have to sift. And I realize with stuff like this, that's why I've been diligently working on the 9/11 one. Because, like, it's one of those things, like, you have to sift through all the bullshit, right? All the hearsay, all the conspiracy. I mean, granted, this is very conspiracy fueled, but all we're doing is, see, like, I've done my research on this for years. I trust in that. I mean, what do you think? We can send Joe a link.
Fucking bring him up for sure.
Bro, you want to come on this, bro? I'll send it to you right now.
Hear what he has to say. Absolutely.
And the thing about shooting through the glass, I mean, anytime you hit the glass where it's unimpacted, you have to have it broken to get an accurate shot, or the bullet's going to go a random direction. Like shooting a windshield, like in vehicles, you have to have two shooters. And the reason why is the first shooter to shoot, he's going to shoot right before the action. So if you want to take a coordinated shot, shooter A is to break the window. Right. And he's shooting
so that projectile doesn't deflect in a different direction, right?
Otherwise, that bullet will just go straight up into the liner or straight into the dash. Like, it won't even make it. It'll just dart somewhere else, And that's just car glass, much less. I mean, hurricane glass is up to an inch thick, and that's a hard window to break.
That's what I was gonna ask. So, like, do you, Cody or Kojo, do you know, like, how bullet resistant, I guess would be the word, is hurricane glass?
It's not bulletproof, but
it's more to pick up debris.
Yeah, and you have to take either a platter charge from the door to blow it out, extreme percussion, or I would imagine it'd probably be easier to punch a hole in it and use a Sawzall to get through it, rather than smash it with your Home Depot hammer right before you go on this suicide mission. And again, there has never been given a motive. This dude was mad at 60 people at a festival for what?
His girlfriend left to it was either Taiwan or the Philippines. He sent her on this trip before he went and did this. Which is just another layer. It's like, okay, if he had a girlfriend, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. It would be like, why would you shoot yourself twice, supposedly? Because there's dried blood and then there's fresh blood. Like,
right.
It looks like he had been sitting for a minute, you know, and supposedly when he killed himself, but when they found him, it looked like there was like older blood and then fresh blood, which doesn't make sense at all. Makes no sense.
Well, and one of the photos that I ran across today that I found was very interesting was the body's feet were pointed straight up. And I don't know if people probably don't really know this, but when somebody's actually dead, that's when their hips will actually flex open if they're laying on their back like he was. So their toes will be more likely to actually basically touch the ground or look like they are. Like you look like your feet are broken almost, somewhat, if that makes sense. Not so extreme, but this dude's laying there with both of his feet sitting straight up. And then in the corner of one of the photos, it really looks like a leg with this much skin showing, and then like a piece of black sheet wrapped around a foot covering it. You know, like what is this weird appendage next to his body that looks like a foot? I'll see if I can find it and send it to you.
Yeah, did you find it on the map, or is this something that you've? Okay.
I was in.
You went deeper into the rabbit hole.
I was in AI mode, getting crazy. Yeah.
I think you're right, though. I think that and that's something that was like my whole big thing. That I just can't, for some reason, get over, and I feel like there's some correlation to this. Is like who was in that specific, set of rooms in a little bit lower than where he was at the time of the shooting. Like, it's Saudi royalty, and then the dude ends up doing some crazy shit shortly after that over there overseas, and then ends up getting ultimately killed like a year later.
Yeah, I'm gonna play this one a little bit more. See, like, because I think where we left it, he's still talking about the Saudi royalty. So I'm gonna hit this. I'm gonna turn this one on real quick.
Like, I heard there are 5 shots I just heard in this lobby of this hotel. And when you go through enough of this sourcing, you start to realize like this is so beyond suspicious in so many ways. And a lot of the conspiracy theorists arrive at this theory that these helicopters were doing the shooting, and that could be true. Dan kind of redirected me. Right? For what? Like, so there's the layer of like, it's to grab our guns. It's to make us scared of guns, like a false flag mass shooting. And that's the only, that doesn't line up with everything. Like, it maybe lines up with some of it.
Right.
Like, maybe that's why.
How do you fit Bin Salman into that?
Not one bit. And well, that's how do you fit like all of the other inconsistent? If you wanted to do that, you would just have a bunch of people walk into the festival with guns and shoot everybody. Mm-hmm. Or you would just have just the dudes shooting, and you wouldn't have all this other weird anomalies happening. You wouldn't have helicopters in there. Like, you don't need that to make people scared of guns.
Black helicopters.
Yeah. And so then the conspiracy theorists go to the next layer, where they go like the Saudis, and like they came after Bin Salman in that penthouse up top, and they were shooting him with these helicopters with machine guns on them. But then that doesn't account for why would they then be shooting up a music festival full of civilians? It's like the explanation is as a distraction to like confuse law enforcement and to just like fuck everything up. It's like maybe I don't know. But Dan got me on a great point that like that's not like what those helicopters would normally, from a special forces perspective, those helicopters are probably exfiltration, not attack. Like it's far more likely that helicopters would go in to exfiltrate the Saudi crown prince and get him out of there than to like, you don't like that's like Jason Bourne movie shit. You don't like put a bunch of machine guns on a bunch of helicopters in the middle of downtown Los Angeles and then just go and unload automatic fire all over the city. Like that's the sloppiest thing you could ever do.
Huh.
And my brain goes to like, if you're unloading an automatic machine gun on the Mandalay Bay in any format, you would have windows smashed all over the place. You'd have broken glass all up and down every floor of that thing. Like all those rounds either must have gone, because you can hear them, they either must have all gone into the crowd, or they must have all gone maybe like onto the roof of the Mandalay Bay specifically, or Lord knows what. I think that I'm starting to lean towards, and this is by no means concrete. I'm leaning towards maybe there was some sort of firefight on the roof, like someone hold up and like they bring it, like, you know, if it's like a bunker, I could see you then maybe bringing up some machine guns and just like unloading on like a bunker where people are like hiding and trying to keep the crown prince protected inside.
Yeah.
So you essentially have a firefight, a kind of in and out of an armored fortified position.
Yeah.
And then there's like an exfiltration happening with helicopters or something. And then maybe all these other weird sightings are like sort of the supplementary forces like exiting the premises. But that doesn't account for the whole festival shooting that clearly is like, and so I think regardless of what it was more than one thing at once. And I think it's very likely that whatever it was so botched that, and maybe it was botched because it was botched, but maybe it was botched because it was interrupted or like counterattacked or who knows. But regardless, that makes it hard to analyze the signature of what it is. Because, you know, once something goes wrong, like the JFK shooting goes wrong, then suddenly actions don't necessarily align with like the ideal way to do something, because it's actually just a bunch of dudes with guns freaking out and doing their best to get out alive and to like make it work based on their objective and what's going on in this crazy situation. And that makes it really hard as like a journalist to posthumously go in and look at the evidence and say, look, this all makes sense. Because inevitably a dude running around with a gun in the middle of a music festival is going to do irrational things. It's hard to like explain it with logic. So I don't know. It's like a total mystery, but it's a mystery that got swept under the rug, got completely shadow banned. A bunch of the people that were there that were speaking out about multiple shooters died afterwards, like quiet.
Well, I mean, where else have you heard this before, where somebody dies after the fact? Like, I mean, look at half the people that fingered Jeffrey Epstein,
Right, for sure.
all died under mysterious circumstances. What we got here? It says there was windows broken all over. That's why multiple locations thought they had active shooters, but the majority hit the ground in a huge open area under it. But I am. Did they get in? Is that possible? There was a fight up top. You know what I mean? Or there?
Yeah.
The problem is,
have either of you? So I remember, and Kojo might be able to answer this as well. But I distinctively remember a crime scene photo of all the weapons lined up in front of one of the windows, or like lined up in general. And so now I'm wondering if I thought wrong, and if that's the case, like, or if it was a crime scene, like they were photoing all of the weapons they collected afterwards. But if that is the case, I need to retract my statement of them being all lined up.
It says, look up John Cullen for his take on this. He was the original investigator and explains all of that. So you said John Cullen. We'll take a look for him real quick. But yeah, I really do remember like the image of all the guns.
Like some of them were on tripods and shit. Like,
yeah, I just remember. I don't remember them being on any mounts or tripods. I just remember them being rested against like the under part of the window, and then some being sprawled across the bed.
Yeah.
Amy, could you pull up the video Joe's talking about and link that up? But I'll have to watch that one later, because I feel like this is going to be one of those weird. This is going to be a spiral moment. I've been hooked on another thing that I want to do an episode on is Frazzle Drip. That's the rabbit hole I've been falling down. But I'm not even starting that one here. Just nothing lines up, nothing with the media narrative, nothing with, there's a lot of pictures. And this is the problem with this type of world we're in, is they have the tools to oversaturate the mind somewhere. So if you throw 550 things out there, even if in their case, they'll throw out maybe 40 ideas and opinions and this and that. And then people will grip onto that, and then they'll start creating their own narratives. So all the media has become a seed planting, and people become the garden to spread that misinformation on their own. And when you get oversaturated, but the thing is, now you're seeing more with the Charlie Kirk thing, is there are more people demanding answers now than at any other event. The only other event that comes to mind that people that we still to this day demand answers on, there's like two to come to mind, is the Kennedy assassination and 9/11.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I'm not saying he's 100% right, or that I know everything, but I got into conspiracies after I left this event, because I know what a saw sounds like, and I know the main narrative was nonsense.
And a saw is very fucking, even me not being in the military, like, I know what one sounds like. Like, I've heard one, like, I've been to machine gun shoots, and like that, you're right. Like, you know what I mean? That shit sounds, it's the same, like, before I, lost my Second Amendment right, like, I could tell you the difference between an AK and an M4 platform all day long, just by the sound, like, all day long. And I've never served at all. I've never highly trained. I've never done marksmanship, none of that shit.
Mm-hmm. Like, what are you thinking about over there, guy?
I was looking up the volley count. So if you look at the map, right, and you look where the Mandalay Bay is, there's a human icon, like one of the walking human, like orange, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
But as you look at it, the Mandalay Bay, it's like the however you make a triangle, whatever. It's like right here. And I went to it, and right there, they are not 32 floors away from a belt-fed weapon. And the thing is if anybody that's been around a belt-fed weapon, they speed up. And you don't realize that until you've been around different kinds of automatic weapons. But they're like, and then they catch, then it doesn't sound the same. And you can hear every time they're firing, they let off, they fire, they let off, they fire, they let off. But it's not a big break in between. And it's not the same amount of rounds. But I mean, you're talking 12 volleys. That's a firefight.
It's a fucking lot, dude.
That is a lot of automatic gunfire.
Yeah.
Even if you just consider, I mean, what's say a small big 90 rounds, right?
For a belt, or for,
I mean, even like,
even for an M4, like, you can have, you can easily, so like, they make quad stack mags, you know what I mean? So instead of double, they're twice that. So, I mean, you can have 60, 90. I mean, that's not before you get into drums.
Right.
Or, you know what I mean, anything else. So it's a lot. At bare minimum, at the smallest, you're looking at, say, on an M4 or AK platform, you're looking at 30. So even if it's 30 times however many volleys, 14, whatever you said it was, like, that's still a lot of fucking rounds. But it's more than that, for sure. Definitely more than that.
Yeah, man. It's like, this is like I hate these situations, bro. Like, not just like when you're doing the research, bro. It's like you're walking through a bog, bro. Joe said they're 200 round boxes, so I mean,
and that's if they didn't connect them. That's I mean, that dude was not you. That guy, everything we've seen in the videos, maybe there was a 60 round mag laying in the room. You know,
most of them were 30s, and from the photos I've seen, like
there was one that looked like a double stack because it was pretty thick comparatively, and it looked like it was for a larger round, like in a 7.62, but you're still 60 rounds is out way faster than that, but it still doesn't sound the same. You know,
there's definitely some 60. There's definitely some 60s in here. I'm looking at, but I mean, they're saying that he used this fucking hammer to knock that window out.
Yeah, 3 pound ball.
You're smoking crack, bro.
A 3 pound sledgehammer.
And then this is allegedly all of the spent casings.
Right. So this guy was able to sneak an arsenal of guns, but he took a 3 pound sledgehammer.
Right.
You know, and like to reiterate what you were saying, Chris, is like, and what's really hard about now is anything that we look at now can be doctored within minutes.
Seconds. I mean, listen, like, just for fun, goofy stuff, like, you know, messing around, like me and Joe have messed around with, you know, different types of, like, you know, AI shit, you know, we don't use anything on this channel, YouTube, so calm down. But still, like, you can produce some pretty wild stuff in the matter of seconds. If you, all you need is the source file, bro. But like, you know, he said, we're made to assume that a man was able to curve the bullet and make shots like this is the movie Wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, but you see, and this is, they want to beat you with fatigue, bro. That's what they want to do. If you put so much, they just have to put out enough a mix of misinformation and truth. They don't really give a shit. Like, they're so arrogant at this point. They'll do whatever, say whatever. They have to juggle all the lies. It's like me and Ant were talking about it maybe a few days ago. Is that the problem with them is that they have to spin all these lies and juggle all this bullshit so much. He said they're getting kind of sloppy now. This is proof. Charlie Kirk is proof for that.
Yeah.
But once you put out even 10 things within the matter of minutes, those 10 lines of information will turn into 7,000 within the first couple minutes. Within the first hour, it's going to double. Within the first week, it's going to be like a trillion different things out there, you know. And most people get their news solely off of just the headline, so they can literally put the blueprint inside of the actual article. They can tell you the whole truth, but and there's going to be a point. No one's going to read it. They're going to read the headline and be like, and it can completely contradict everything in there.
Well, look at Top Gun. Top Gun told us we were going to take Iran out. If you listen to that mission brief, it is all except for the mountains surrounding where they had to dive in and all that theatrical part. They literally said exactly the same thing that we did to take Fordo out. We sent stuff down missiles or through, you know, ventilation shafts, essentially using bunker busters. But, you know, I just don't think Mossad. I don't know if it's messy or was Mossad sending the message. I don't care who you are, because you had to know that if you had 6,000 people, Charlie Kirk himself had 15 cameras on him no matter what, plus 6,000 people are going to be on their phone.
Well, I mean,
have 6,000 witnesses.
Do I believe Mossad is responsible for every major conspiracy? No. Like, I mean, because these are just one devil that's out there. I mean, the CIA, I don't think the Mossad owns our CIA. I mean, these are all top tier gangster rackets, bro. They've been around. They've had insane amounts of time to sharpen their craft. And it's simple. You know how they sharpen it? Is because you hand the keys to them. Yeah, you hand them trust and faith and refuse. When you go 40 years without asking a question, you don't even know what questions to ask at a certain point.
No.
Anymore. So, like, but there's so many people. It's like the Game of Thrones, bro. Like with with the New World Order. I mean, the military-industrial complex, they got a role in all of this. They want conflict so they can raise the money, make them bullets, bro. Like, look at in the wake of the Gulf War, Halliburton wasn't, business was up, bro, but it wasn't flying off the shelves, bro. Like, I mean, but what happens? 9/11, Halliburton stock goes up like 700%. They were like one of the biggest suppliers of the Iraqi freedom, like the war on terror.
And they were truckers. They were truckers, not even oil. They were all
crazy.
So, I mean, I think what we have to do is start investigating who had the most to gain from this. Right. Because this is definitely not some like crooked politician that just I want to try to get votes. That's if you think that, you're an idiot. You have to file all the paperwork back. Like what legislation came out. Amy, if you could find me, I know you're fast on the gun with this shit. Send it to me. Be reasonable, but send me a list of all legislation or any legislation that was proposed within the first week or at least the first 2 months of the Vegas shooting.
I can tell you right now.
Jordan's got a Jamie, we got an Amy.
I can tell you right now, it's magazine caps, like as far as like amounts caps on round count. The bump stocks was a big one.
Was that when the bump stock argument started to come into play?
That's where, that was the fucking one. And this is like, dude, I remember the first AK I got, like when I turned 18, the first thing I did was bought an AK. And using a fucking bump stock on that thing was like, I was pissed at myself that I had spent like the $150, $200 to get it, because like there's no way, because like it's you attach it right to the rifle. So what happens is it literally slides like this. So you're having to put a forward motion on either a grip or on a guard, pull forward and lock your trigger finger like this, and the recoil as it just bumps back onto your trigger finger, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You're not getting a fucking series of volleys off that sound identical. Like, bro, I'd get sometimes 4 shots, and then on top of it, that constant jerking, like shit being fucked up, like you're causing that gun to jam. Like you might give it a stovepipe. You could do all sorts of shit.
He said they banned bump stocks because of this. Bump stocks.
They still suck. I mean, FRTs. If you want your gun to go faster, get a FRT. Fuck. Like,
we got Yoli over here. Growing up in South Africa, you learned early on not to trust the news or what the government tells you. Good to see you here, Yoli.
I gotta go in and get my littles down. I appreciate you on tonight, man.
Bro, I love having you, even though you were like, we put you under the bed for like a while.
Yeah.
We had a very interesting like setup throughout this whole thing, bro. Like, Mossad was making sure that I couldn't be on in the beginning. We stuffed you under the mattress at one point. It's been I appreciate you always being here, bro.
Oh, hey, yeah. I bet we'll come back to this, and I think we should revisit the multitude of differences of things that we have about in the past month of Charlie, right? Like our initial reaction, because we went based off of what the news was telling us and what we could justifiably believe. But down to the fact that Lance Twiggs was caught on camera right 30 minutes after the shooting coming off of a roof. Like, did the boyfriend set him up? What's the story now?
There's been so much shit, dude. Like,
we got the last comment before you head out. Is like, yeah, you don't get that continuous full auto fire at all, and everything else he said is also correct. It doesn't help in any way. Full auto is not what people think. Bump stocks are the gas version.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and then you got people don't understand, like, unless you're unless you've got time behind a automatic rifle, you're getting pushed. Like I have seen just this summer, I witnessed somebody get their ass pushed backwards from a fully automatic weapon. And it was, it was just 223. Wasn't anything serious. Like, so, dude could have been, I don't know how much prior time, like if the dude was a gun fanatic or anything like that, if he had, continuously was going to the range before this, but like, that's another thing to account for too, because that dude could have been getting pushed all around that room. If the version that is out there is what people want to go for, like, there's not any of it that I fucking believe.
Fully automatic is for one thing only. It is for fire superiority.
Well, and to suppress it, you know what I mean? Like,
suppressive fire.
Right.
Superiority, you get their heads down so you can move on them, and then you start taking shots. That's why M4s are, well, not just the M4s, but M16s, M4s, our carbines, all of them have been single shot or 3-round burst, because it's not, we have the automatic weapons with the bigger rounds to lay down the rounds to get your head down so that I can move a fire team next to you, and then I can just poke you in the side and be like, look, I'm right here, boogeyman. And, in the day, it's not too, actually, I've never seen any training where hey, we're going to use fully automatic fire to kill them all. That's not the case. It's been anytime you go full auto, it is fire superiority so that they aren't looking at what you're doing.
Right.
So it's made to keep their heads down and just to yep.
They are gay.
Super valid.
All right, fellas. You guys have a good night.
Cody.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
Bye.
Yeah, bro. We'll talk to you soon, bro. Thanks for being here as always.
Can't wait till next time. Bye.
Yeah, you got it, man.
Later, brother.
Yeah, bro. But I mean, I don't know. Vaz, you could have just you could have just put that in the chat, instead of texting me about Mossad.
Oh, yeah.
You could have just texted. You could have just put that in the chat. It's basically Israeli CIA. Well, there was an awkward silence here for a moment.
No, yeah, I was just reading a couple comments. I apologize. Yes.
No, it's all right. I kind of spaced out. I was fixated on Joe's happy face comment. But
you went hard on these bump stocks.
Yo, trust me, brother Joe don't give a fuck about like when it comes to that business, bro. He's dialed in on all that shit, bro. You'll meet him when you come out. Joe, he's gonna be with us at that other thing, so
it'll be great. Yeah,
it'll be good. But I'm my head is kind of spinning right now. We're almost 2 hours in. We stuffed Cody under the bed. Mossad didn't want me on the show.
Mm-mm.
Trev was holding it down the vast majority of the time. We've definitely debated out some interesting stuff. So we're going to get dialed up. Everybody, I want to just start here. The final interview of the Roll the Bones Season 1. If you haven't seen the trailer yet, it's probably going to be the most notorious, infamous individual we've had on here.
I'm so pissed I wasn't there.
Bro, like wild. But don't worry, we're going to be in on this. Gypsy Crusader Paul Miller. It was a good conversation. That's going to be out in the next couple weeks. Amy, get ready for everybody. We always support the boss over at Money Mayhem and the Mafia. Me and Aunt Airlotta got some crazy shit we're putting together. He's going to be doing live soon. He doesn't give a shit about the rat fuck trolls. He laughs at your comments when you say stupid shit. He doesn't get mad at you. But if you want to enjoy some great content with the boss over there, you could do your own damn research ahead of time. with South and Syndicate. Oh, look at Joe over here. Freaking, he's like, yeah, the conspiracy is actually I love bump stocks. But yeah, Money Man and the Mafia, get that link out, but definitely order yourself some of that Pazzo blend. It's a great wine. Ant's a great guy. Like, trust me, this is a wine you either want on your table. It's a good for all occasions. Check out Brother Joe over at Tac Tribe 2.0. You can stay up to date with everything you need to know, tactical, proficient shooting, like just crazy shit. Joe's your place to go. Gucci Boomer, one of our other brothers in arms. We always going to say that. Check out Brother Gooch with the Stay Strap Tribe. Definitely, but like Joe makes a valid statement. Definitely check out Anthony Arlotta. It was a great book that pairs amazing with the Pazzo signature blend, which you can DM Ant direct, or DM me or DM Joe if you're looking for some autographed bottles of Pazzo blend. We can get that straightened out for you. Me and Trev, we're gonna be putting together some events. We got some stuff. Trev's gonna be up in my neck of the woods pretty soon. With Sister Amy, we're gonna get all this shit straightened out. We're gonna have a great time. We'll let you know when we have dates. Come out, hang out. Maybe some surprise people will be there. Will be out with us. See, Amy loves Pazzo. Everybody loves Pazzo blend. You are lying. You're fooling yourself. But Amy, I know you got a bottle of Yellowtail. Throw that shit in the trash. It better be Pazzo on that counter and nothing else. But yeah, we are getting ready. I know we kind of had a lot of technical stuff. Me and Trevor still getting used to all this shit.
Still figuring this shit out.
We're gonna handle this. We're gonna figure it out. But I don't want to give too many details. But November 12th will be the 1-year anniversary of this show. And me and Trev, we have a lot of great shit in store for you. It's going to be one of the biggest events. It's going to be a fucking spectacle. So I hope everybody comes out. We're going to make this the biggest we can get it.
Yeah, you're not going to want to miss this. This shit's going
to be you ain't going to fucking, you do not want to be fucking around and sleeping and staying up. I don't give a fuck if you work. You just got out of work. You get the hell on. That's what we're going to do. We're going to be celebrating the Pazzo. We're going to be celebrating, Joe, anytime, bro. Like, yeah, we'll get Joe on here. He'll get crazy with us, and trust me, he'll match our energy and some. He's a wild bastard. He'll make you all laugh. I talk to this guy all the time. We're gonna get him a set of them guns too. It's one of those things. If you know, you know. Yeah. But yeah, it's been a pleasure, bro. Thanks for everybody. Thank you for Kayla, Amy, Cass, all the mods showing up for us, all the people that came in and out. My buddy Lewis, he's trying to get himself started over there. A lot of people showed me a lot of love. If anybody can go over to BPAC, he streams. He's going to be doing some crazy shit. I think he's doing a live stream of aliens or something. We talk about throwing the aliens out over here. He's playing the.
He wants to save the aliens.
Yeah, he's putting holes in them. Jules, it's great to see you. Yoli, if I missed you, I think I might have called you out. I'll be emailing you in a little bit. Chrissy, I saw that. Aliens, Dark Descent. So I mean, yeah, man, it's been fucking great. I love everybody, and I'm getting the hell out of here.
Fuck yeah, me too. Y'all have a good night, everybody.
Bye.